Chris Briney became popular for his leading role as Conrad in The Summer I Turned Pretty, but there are many crazy facts about the actor people aren't aware of. Most of the criticism the cast of The Summer I Turned Pretty has faced is how they are terrible at acting or have very cringy scenes, but it's a different case for Chris Briney, who has been singled out and thanked specially for his talent and skills on the show. And that's because he didn't come up through traditional Hollywood routes. Before landing the role on The Summer I Turned Pretty, Chris started in indie theater, working behind the camera and writing his short production. He wrote and directed a 2021 short film called Pay, where he explored vulnerability, grief, and loss, which are all similar traits he later brought into his portrayal of Conrad. In Pay, Chris shows a deep understanding of how to use silence to stretch a moment and make it mean something without over-explaining it. That kind of visual storytelling requires more than just talent, but also sensitivity. And in the short film, we see through Chris's eyes from a filmmaker and a writer's point of view, even though he was introduced to many as just an actor. And from that short film, it becomes obvious why he was the perfect choice for Conrad. It gets even deeper with Chris as he invests the early parts of his life in training. He studied acting seriously, attending Pace University in New York. He immersed himself in storytelling because he loved it, and his passion for filmmaking can be seen in every scene of The Summer I Turned Pretty, despite being very early in his career. At Pace, Chris was part of the School of Performing Arts, where he trained under a conservatory-style program designed to push actors beyond their limits. The curriculum wasn't just about memorizing lines, it focused on movement, voice, scene analysis, and understanding the full emotional depth of a character. His classmates have recalled how deeply committed he was, always approaching scenes with a quiet intensity and hunger to improve. He studied the craft from every angle, acting, directing, and writing. During his time there, he not only performed in student productions, but also worked behind the scenes on independent projects, perfecting his eye for distinction and pacing. It's the kind of foundation that explains why Chris approaches each role, especially Conrad, with so much emotional pain. Speaking about just how skilled Chris Briney is, he didn't just play Conrad Fisher, he became him. There have been numerous complaints about how many scenes in season 3 feel hard to watch, except for the ones with Conrad, which is proof of how he made the show even better. Due to this, many Reddit fans appreciate him for bringing his best to the show, and that's not something every actor, especially a newcomer, can pull off. Conrad is layered. He's not the typical heartthrob. He's moody, distant, deeply emotional, and often unreadable. It takes a specific kind of presence to make all of that feel real and to make an audience root for someone who rarely says what he's thinking, but Chris made it feel effortless, which is the power of his performance. It's in the way he softens his voice during tense scenes, the way his eyes do the talking in moments where the script gives him almost nothing. He acts like someone carrying things alone for too long, and viewers felt that weight, and his closing statement in episode 4 made people fall deeply in love with him again and his talent. Many fans didn't even know Chris Briney before the show, but by the end of season 1, Conrad had already stolen hearts and hasn't stopped even in season 3. In a cast filled with rising stars, Chris stands out as one of the few who fully embody their character from the inside out. He already understands what seasoned actors spend years trying to master. It's not about being liked, it's about being believable. Before the red carpets and fan edits, before The Summer I Turned Pretty put his face on every screen, Chris Briney was just another guy working shifts at Trader Joe's. Like many actors starting in New York, Chris had to pay the bills while chasing auditions, late-night rehearsals, and studying at Pace. And for a while, that meant scanning and bagging groceries. It's one of those small but grounding facts that make his rise feel even more special because it shows just how recent and how genuine his breakthrough was. Chris happened to have worked at the Trader Joe's location on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Looking back, Chris appreciates and remembers his experience fondly, especially his amazing coworkers, and that makes his rise to a television star even more impressive. With how talented he is, it's wild knowing that he sent out the audition tape for The Summer I Turned Pretty before even featuring in his first film, Daliland. At that point, Chris Briney was still a name nobody knew. He hadn't been in a single movie, and he was just a young actor with quiet conviction and an opportunity he wouldn't let slip by. Before filming for Daliland even began, Chris submitted a self-taped audition for the role of Conrad Fisher, and that tape opened a door that would change everything. While in Liverpool filming Daliland, he got the call for a chemistry read over Zoom. Across time zones, Chris and Lola Tung met virtually, reading lines and trying to make something real through a screen. And somehow, it worked. The chemistry was instant. Director Jenny Han saw it immediately. What stood out wasn't just the chemistry, but how Chris embodied Conrad's emotional weight without needing to say much. His eyes did the talking, his body language filled the silence. Jenny knew right then that this was her Conrad. Chris found out he landed the role on the day of the Daily Land table read. He called it one of the better days I've been lucky enough to have. In one moment, he was stepping into his first film, and in the next, he had just secured the lead in what would become a breakout series. For someone who brings the story from the book to life effortlessly, it would surprise you to know his real-life relationship resembles Conrad's in the show. In real life, Chris Briney is dating Isabel, the full version of Belly's name on the show. One of those strange but exciting coincidences that has made many fans think twice about the parallels. Chris Briney met his girlfriend, Isabel Machado, while they were both studying at Pace University. They connected through the school's performing arts program, where their shared passion for acting and storytelling brought them closer. The fact that Chris plays Conrad, the reserved, emotionally complex heartthrob who's been in love with Isabel Belly Conklin since they were kids and then ends up falling for someone with the same name off-screen, is beyond surprising. That detail appears too real to be true, making it even more interesting. So while fans debate who Belly should end up with, Chris Briney quietly lives a parallel life where Isabel isn't just a character name, she's someone he chose off-screen too. However, for all his confidence and self-discipline as Conrad, Chris has an amusing fact about him: his hatred for spiders. In interviews, Chris admits not being the guy who rushes in with a shoe when a spider crawls up the wall, as the job goes straight to his girlfriend. He's not ashamed to hand over the role of taking care of 8-legged insects. It's such a surprisingly typical trait that makes him feel instantly relatable. Fans often see him as this composed, thoughtful, emotionally deep actor, but then you realize he can't handle a spider in his apartment, just like everyone else. What makes it even better is how casually he owns it, as there's no need to prove he's the tough guy. Chris knows his limits. These little details make him stand out not just as an actor, but as a person. He can play a character like Conrad, who shoulders family trauma and heartbreak like it's second nature, but in real life, he jumps away from a spider. But despite all the fun facts we've been mentioning about Chris, he also has his own sad story. Long before Chris stepped into the spotlight, he faced something every aspiring actor fears: rejection, and a lot of it. In high school, Chris applied to 11 acting programs. He poured his heart into auditions, prepared monologues, and waited anxiously for callbacks, but he got rejected from 9.5 of them, with one waitlisting him, which he jokes about as a half. It's a story that could have ended differently. Most people would take that many rejections as a sign to divert to other career opportunities, play it safe, and settle, but not Chris. Instead of giving up, he leaned in. He took the hits and kept going, eventually landing a spot at Pace University in New York, a school known for its strong acting program and industry-ready training. That choice would change everything. At Pace, Chris mastered his craft, which has earned him the respect that comes with years of persistence, discipline, and an unwavering belief that he had something to offer. And when you see his work now, it's easy to forget that his journey started with more rejections than acceptance. Now, the same actor who once felt like a long shot redefines what it means to be a leading man.